Bless you, Scott.
Doing it right at the end.
Bless you.
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah, it's been. Hope it's not raining this week. That would make me happy if they could get away without rain. They were calling for rain Thursday. Now, maybe not. My wood burner's starting on Friday. Wait for that clock to go. It goes awful slow. Okay, I'd like to bring the October 28th special meeting to order. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Could we please have the roll call?
Scott Hansen.
Here.
Ben Terrell.
Here.
Lisa Lewitsky.
Here.
Ray Whitaker. Ed Kemp.
Here.
Tim Catron.
Here.
Zachary Dillinger.
Here.
Frank Holmes.
Here.
Brian Ross.
Here. Thank you. Have the proper notices been posted and sent?
They have.
Thank you. What are your wishes for the agenda this evening?
Move the agenda. Support.
We have a motion and support to approve the October 28th agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same. Motion carries. Next on the agenda is our public hearing. Consider repealing the Eaton County Land Development Code zoning ordinance in its entirety. If we could have, not necessarily a staff report, but read into the record, the letters that we've got.
The Planning Commission has received 4 communications that were requested to be read into record. Their first one is from the Eaton County Road Commission, specifically Mr. Matthew Hannes. The board meeting is the same time as our board meeting is the same time as the special Planning Commission meeting, so I will not be able to attend. However, I would like to provide my objection to eliminating county zoning. As the person at Eaton County Road Commission who's responsible for site plan reviews to ensure they follow Road Commission rules and policies, the county process greatly improves the communication and coordination as compared to rural townships who perform their own zoning. The following are issues that have been resolved through cooperation and coordination between the Eaton County Planning and Zoning and Eaton County Road Commission, and are why I believe having zoning remain at the county level for rural township is in the public's best interest. 1, the county department has required all applicants to obtain preliminary approval for driveways to ensure they will meet road commission policies prior to issuing building permits or approving property splits. There have been times when property splits have been approved by a township to only find out that the split will not meet the minimum safety requirements for a driveway, such as site distance and a driveway permit cannot be issued. This causes the landowner to either have to have a parcel that is not usable or spend additional funds to adjust the splits a second time. This issue is eliminated with the county requiring preliminary approval, which has not occurred consistently at the township level. 2, for gravel pits, it is important for trucks to use certain roads and use the most direct route to Class 8 road. It is important for a road commission to hold financial security for the gravel pit owner that in the case the roads are being used for hauling require repair or excess maintenance due to the increased gravel truck traffic. We recommend county conditional use permit stipulations for the gravel pit owners must maintain a haul route permit with the road commission, which sets the road maintenance and financial surety requirements. This must be done by the county or township because the road commission does not have the authority to require the haul route permit. Without the haul route permit, it would be difficult to hold the gravel pit owner responsible for the road damage caused by the gravel pit operation. 3, private roads can be an issue as well. The county processes request comments from the road commission if a resident applies for an additional split along an existing private road. If there's sufficient increase in the number of parcels that access to the private road, it may warrant an improvement to the private road approach onto the public road. 3 parcels along a private road may not require a full commercial driveway approach, where 30 parcels will. Without this county process, a township could allow any number of splits on a county road without comment from the road commission and without improvement to the approach, creating a potential safety issue. 4, a small business owner that chooses to expand his operation may warrant improvements to the driveway and drainage along his property frontage. The county sends a request for comment on changes to property uses, which provides me the opportunity to make comment and recommendations for improvements to the road when necessary for public safety and roadway maintenance. This does not consistently occur at the township level. The staff in planning and zoning and I have built a strong relationship which has allowed each of us to understand each other's expectations and requirement. This helps both of us direct the public on approval processes without giving them the runaround between the agencies. With this relationship, I expect eliminating county-level zoning will slow the process for those wishing to establish a business, make improvements to their homes. I would also expect to see less compliance with zoning in the rural townships and more people choosing to request forgiveness. Although I do believe townships can find a way to provide their own zoning, I believe the public in these areas are better served having a single point of contact for development. Feel free to contact me if you have any questions. Matthew Hannas, PE, Engineer Manager for the Eaton County Road Commission. Another letter was written from the Charlotte Fire Department. Eaton County Planning Commission. Over the past several years, the City of Charlotte has experienced significant staffing changes. These transitions have presented challenges in understanding where previous employees left off and how certain planning and zoning processes were completed. During that time, we have worked closely with Eaton County Planning and Zoning Department, which has played a vital role in helping the city rebuild and strengthen its zoning operations into a knowledgeable and effective department. The assistance provided by Eaton County Planning and Zoning, both historically and in the present, has been outstanding. Their staff has consistently offered timely professional guidance that has helped the city navigate complex planning and zoning matters with confidence and clarity. The City of Charlotte greatly values our continued partnership with the Eaton County Planning and Zoning Department and looks forward to maintaining its collaborative relationship in the future. Positive communication and teamwork enhance our capabilities and support continued growth throughout our community. Dan Daly, Captain Fire Inspector of the City of Charlotte Fire Department. Please read into record my objection to the proposal to delete all county zoning ordinances. That would basically create a Wild West situation for property upkeep. There would be no system to control development or keep setbacks or enforcement maintenance. Jim Green, address of 10783 Hartel Road, Grenledge. The following letter is a letter from Sunfield Township that is a communication to the Eaton County Board of Commissioners that was asked to be read into record at this evening's meeting. It is also being forwarded on to the Board of Commissioners. October 21st, 2025, to the Eaton County Board of Commissioners regarding planning and zoning. Commissioners, so here we are, months after the county's proposal for the township to contract with planning and zoning, and we are no closer to a solution than we were when we started. And again, Sunfield Township Board is submitting a letter to you to let you know how completely frustrated and exasperated we are with this whole debacle. As far as we're concerned, it boils down to 2 points. 1, we are repeatedly giving contradictory information, whether it be by email, phone, or verbally. Are you aware we have not gotten the same answer twice from anyone? And everything seems to change from week to week depending on whom you ask. Now, more recently, we are being told I am not allowed to talk about it. Why not? How are we supposed to make a decision when we can't get straight, consistent answers? And it's not just our neighbors in Roxanne Township that are being told, and it's not just us, it's our neighbors in Roxanne Township that are being told the same thing. And you're wondering why there's a distrust issue. This mess is causing some real damage to relationships between county and townships when it's not necessary. 2, and most importantly, District 1, our 4 townships still without representation. And here you are making decisions about how to use our tax dollars, and we have no say in it. That is unconstitutional, unethical, and just a poor way to do business. So with that, we urge and expect the Eaton County Board of Commissioners to do the right thing, which is To extend planning and zoning services as they currently exist for at least 6 months, preferably 1 year at no additional cost, so the Township of District 1 can make educated decisions to responses and respond to the needs of our townships in a responsible manner. This would also allow for our new commissioner, whomever it may be, to be brought up to speed and respond to the district's needs. This seems to be the most respectful and fair resolution to this issue. You need to give us time and good information with which to respond and make sensible decisions. Without both, you're setting us up not to be successful. Please do the right thing. Respectfully, the Sunfield Township Board, Selena Dietz, Betsy Gibbs, Amy Baker Brown, Jeff Smith, and Tim McLaw. And those are the communications.
Okay, thank you. Next week, time for our public, it's part of our public hearing. Commissioner Mott, did you want to come and set the stage for us?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. My name is Jim Mott, Chairman of the Eaton County Board of Commissioners. We're here because the county, we have to repeal this ordinance because of the way the ordinance is. All the townships were on board. We have to serve all the townships, but since some of the townships are going out on their own, we need to repeal it and go forward with something new. Now, whether that is going to look like townships coming together and forming their own individually, or coming together and forming a joint planning commission, or whether it's contracts with the county. But we need to repeal this, and I would suggest a timeline, because it's only fair to the townships to give them time, because this is going to take time, no matter what decision they make. So my suggestion would be to repeal it by July 1st. So that is pretty much where the county sits, and so that's all I have. Thank you.
Is there any questions for Mr. Mott? Thank you. At this time, we'll open up the public portion where people can come up and speak, whether they're in favor or opposition to during the public hearing on this. If you just come up and state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Brett Ramey. My address is 216 South Pease Road in Vermontville. For those of you that don't know me, I am the Campbell Township Supervisor, and I have been for about 25 years. Before that, I was a trustee, and before that, I spent a term and a half as a Board of Review member. I sent this letter in to the Board of Commissioners meeting a couple weeks ago. I was out of town. Evidently, they didn't get it, didn't read it, whatever. So this mostly was kind of aimed at the Board of Commissioners, but I'll hit the highlights here. And I want to compare 2 years. In 2012, Kalamazoo Township residents paid a total of $1,235,572.41 in property taxes. Of that, $241,844.96 went for county operations. At that time, we had a full-time courthouse hours. We had a police presence in our township. We had an officer at every meeting. We had a report every month where we could ask questions, communicate with the sheriff's department. We had full zoning. We had full-time staffed animal control. I think at that time we had at least 3 full-time officers. And we had a county-funded 4-H program at that time. Fast forward 12 years, in 2024, Kalamazoo Township residents paid a total of $1,862,272.88, almost a 40% increase in 12 years. I can't remember the last time we had a police officer, not only in our township, but at our meeting. We don't even get a paper report anymore. We've got a prosecutor's office saying they're going to prosecute crimes they're going to pick and choose the crimes they want to prosecute, leaving criminals on the street. We don't have animal control. We've got what I understand now is a part-time officer a few days a week to answer the phone. No funding for 4-H, which was My number's $158,000 out of the county's budget, which was 0.003% of the county budget, which was not enough to make a difference in the county budget, but it sure hurt a whole lot of kids and families in this county. We've got residents out here getting robbed weekly. You call the police, no response. The state police might call you back the next day. They might not. They might come out. You might get a report. You might not. My residents are asking me, what do we do? I say, get a mean dog and arm yourself. You're on your own, basically. And it looks like we might be on our own in zoning too, which $350,000 we sent into the county last year, and we basically have no services out in the rural part of Eaton County. No services, no police, probably no zoning, no animal control. We have nothing. I'm not sure what we're getting for our $350,000 anymore. Thank you.
Anyone else like to speak?
Good evening. My name is Michelle Stahl. I live at 1987 West Kinsel Highway in Carmel Township. I'm here today to share with you my perspective on why Eaton County zoning is a good thing and why it should be preserved. I served as an appointed planning commissioner for Eaton County for a number of years and saw firsthand the good that well-implemented zoning rules bring to our community. Planning is not a restriction on liberty. It is an act of responsible stewardship that protects property rights, property values, and ensures continuity within our community and neighborhoods. I was part of many cases that allowed solutions to be found both for individual property owners, businesses, and the overall community. When something didn't fit perfectly within the ordinance, we listened, we collaborated with stakeholders, and we amended the ordinance as necessary. Zoning provides necessary framework to prevent incompatible land uses, such as large industrial operations sited next to quiet residential neighborhoods, or, more importantly, illicit businesses to operate near schools and daycares. It protects our personal property and those of our neighbors by ensuring predictable, orderly development. Furthermore, it gives our townships the essential tools needed to plan for infrastructure, manage traffic, and protect our unique natural resources like farmland, wetlands, and water quality. This concept of local control and sensible planning is not radical in Michigan. It is, in fact, overwhelmingly the norm. Publicly available statistics compiled by MSU and the University of Michigan show that nearly 97% of cities and villages and townships, 97% of cities and 83% of villages and townships in our state recognize zoning to manage growth. In fact, 88% of all local communities within Michigan are covered by some form of local zoning or county ordinance. The widespread adoption of these rules across the state confirms that planning and zoning are essential functions of modern local government. I also want to point out a fact that makes Eaton County unique and progressive. The data shows that out of Michigan's 20th largest counties, Eaton County is the only one that currently provides county-wide zoning, stepping in to ensure that even our most rural areas and townships have a solid, professional framework for managing their future. To discard this hard-won stability now would be a massive step backwards. The Planning Commission and its rules represent the community's long-term visions. They provide a transparent, public process that gives every resident a voice in how our community grows. Eliminating these rules would not eliminate developmental pressure. It would merely replace an orderly process with chaos, leaving property owners vulnerable to unpredictable and potentially incompatible uses next door. Commissioners, I urge you to recognize the decades of work, the stability, and the protection that our planning rules provide. If funding or budget constraints or delegation of power or span of control are factors, I urge county leaders to find alternative paths. Every decision made by government has both intended and unintended consequences. Have the possible adverse effects of this been fully considered? Thank you.
Good evening. My name's Justin Vetter. I live at 1757 North Clinton Trail, Charlotte. I'm also the Chester Township Supervisor. So first of all, thank you for all that you do for our communities. Appreciate the time that you put in. Also with the county in general, I know that this is something that would have been easy to nix from the get-go when looking at budget cuts, but they've tried to make something work, and I'm really grateful for that. But can we just get at least 1 year? Just at least 1 year. You know, most township board members haven't been trained in planning and zoning. We don't have the education background or the experience, because the county's taken care of it for decades. And so it would be nice to have that time to be able to learn how things work. Also, you know, to find people to fill these boards that we would have to fill, okay? And then also, you know, to look at any companies that we're gonna contract with to provide these services. In addition to, you know, the townships, we like to work together to cost share, and so the time to have those discussions, all that takes a lot of time. Even 1 year, I feel like, is pushing it. But 1 year would certainly help us get our feet under us a little bit versus trying to put the car together while we're driving it. Secondly, the zoning ordinance, the county's zoning ordinance has been around 50, 60 years. And I can say for Chester Township, it's served us pretty well. We want to live in a farming community, in a rural community, and that's still what it is out there. And so we certainly appreciate that. But also, you know, thinking about kind of pulling the plug on something that's been around for so long. Can we just take a year to marinate in that? Is that the decision, you know, all stakeholders want to make? You know, is this something that we want to put on the chopping block? Maybe it is, maybe it's time. And I know I've had lots of discussion with township board members, and I can tell you we have a lot of competent township boards in our county, and we'll make it, but can we just take a moment to, you know, to think, is this the direction that we want to go? You know, we had our first meeting end of July, second meeting the end of August, and it was the beginning of September we got notices that it was going to be done. And so it started to speed up at 90 miles an hour. I tried to keep up with it. I've had lots of conversations with people, but even, I mean, I'm struggling to keep up. I've heard, you know, zoning services are done beginning of December. And then I've heard, you know, end of December. I've heard beginning of the year. I've heard in 6 months. I've heard, you know, in 12 months. And frankly, I've also heard it's done. It's over. It doesn't exist anymore. So just, you know, I think it would be very beneficial if we could just pause for a little bit before we decide to choke this thing off that has been a living, breathing document for so long. I know people have problems with it, but it changes every year. And so if there are issues, let's change it. But if it's time to get rid of it, okay, but can we just wait a little bit before we decide to make that decision? Thank you.
There you go, Brandy. So I'm Mark Sweatman. I live at 678 North Stein Road. I'm here on behalf of as the chair of the Eaton Conservation Service. And the board put together the short note that I gave a copy to Brandy, put in the record. Eaton Conservation District, along with its community partners, has a long history of providing valuable input to the Eaton County Planning Commission regarding applications submitted to the zoning department. Usually that's me. At times, ECD has also provided technical support when natural resources questions have arisen. In these ways, Eaton Conservation District has been able to share information, resources, and guidance to the ordinance officer and the Planning Commission about proposed projects, potential impacts on the natural resources in Eaton County. Having an established countywide land development code doesn't only provide an opportunity to regulate and enforce projects that do not comply with the code. The code preemptively provides a framework for businesses and community members to understand what is reasonable and appropriate to their property. Without a land development code, Eaton County will have will open the gates to land development free-for-all. This could have a significant effect on the natural resources of Eaton County, including the protection of natural habitats, water quality, air quality, spread of invasive species, and more. Understanding the challenges that the Planning Commission faces during this time, Eaton Conservation District respectfully requests that the Eaton County Land Development Code and the staff associated with it be maintained. I altered that last sentence a little bit, but that's basically what we're saying. And then, if I may also, my name is Mark Sweatman, is a resident to Carmel Township. I have had opportunities where we've done developments on our property and things that I wanted to do on our property, and that have been alerted that you might not want to do that, Mr. Sweatman, because of this, without really thinking about it ahead of time. So it's a great resource that I found. I moved out here in 2016. My wife is a long-term resident of the area. But again, I think the code needs to be maintained. And again, the staff for our purposes, both Eaton Conservation District and myself personally, have been very helpful. Thank you, Brandy. Here's another copy if you need it. And by the way, I'm here and my board is meeting, so I'm going to have to excuse myself because I think we have a quorum, but I need to be there also. So thank you very much.
My name is Larry Mead. I'm supervisor of Roxanne Township. My address is 9126 Mulliken Road. I've been there for 82 years, is how old I am. In fact, I'm a little over that. But our township is very, very, very agricultural. And we don't see things the same way that planning and zoning does, but we don't want growth. Everybody says, well, you got to have growth. Growth will never pay for itself. I've lived too long and I've watched too much, and it won't pay for itself. It keeps expanding and it keeps costing. And the things that scared me is China owns 250,000 acres in the United States. All the food that is raised on that ground, animals and growth, goes to China for food. It doesn't stay here, it's gone. And that's encroachment. And nothing's been going on but to stop it, because it's all money. But back to the other zoning, I know Brandy and I have had some words, but I understand she has rules she has to follow. And so I can't change the rules that she's got to follow. But I do like the idea of uniformity throughout the township or the county, and we're losing it. When I was younger, it used to be the big thing of the year to go to Lansing to shop. I don't even want to go to Lansing now to drive through it. I've got doctor's appointments in there, and I'm glad they're in the daytime because I wouldn't want to go through there at night. And it's getting so it's coming this way, and it's now in Eaton County, and that scares me. I would not want to live down there on that side of Eaton County. I'll be point blank. I can go to bed at night. I leave my doors unlocked. I don't worry about it. I wouldn't down there. And there'd be a loaded gun right beside my bed. And that's not my America. So another thing I want to touch on, it's not got to do with zoning, but Brett brought it up about 4-H. When I was involved with 4-H for 18 years, we had the best agent in the state of Michigan, and I've always said that, Nancy Thielen. But I can't tell you how many kids that I watched go through 4-H that are now teachers in business and other high-paying positions that 4-H has helped them. And I just hate to see that go. So that's pretty much my sum and substance. So thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jeremy Cleary. I live at 5084 Mills Highway. And I want to thank you all for your service. I don't come to nearly enough meetings, but I know that you spend a lot of time here. I feel a little silly preaching to this group about the benefits of regional planning, so I'm just going to hope the commissioners are listening, because I don't think you all are the folks that need to hear what I'm going to say tonight. I've been on the Zoning Board of Appeals for over 20 years, and I believe regional planning has benefited our county in ways that we can't appreciate because we haven't seen the chaos that would have ensued had we not had a regional plan. Regional planning is more efficient to administer. It is more consistent. It reduces conflicts among neighbors, neighboring communities. The Road Commission spoke tonight about improved coordination. Most importantly, it helps protect our valuable resources, and I'm not just talking environmental, I'm talking about farmland, I'm talking about our shopping centers. How we grow is also one of the things that I appreciate about Eaton County. We have benefited from that. Without a county role, there will be no protection for those rural areas Mr. Mead spoke of. No preservation, no regional parks, no regional farmland plan to preserve our open areas and our green space. We will end up with a patchwork of little tiny plans that may or may not work together and will not cross those political lines that are invisible to the rest of us. It is not sustainable. I do believe there are some townships in our county that are very capable of doing a really good job. They have the resources, some have the capacity, and they will do a good job, as Mr. Vetter said. They aren't all there. They can't do it overnight. They definitely will need some guidance. And in my 20 years on the Zoning Board of Appeals, I have seen communities try and come back to this county because they don't understand the costs, the work, the lawsuits, the struggles. There is a benefit beyond just what happens on the ground. So I appreciate all of you. I vehemently object to getting rid of the ordinance. I think we have built over the years, it has grown, it has evolved, and it has protected this county, and I object to it going away. So thank you all.
My name is Bruce Barland. I live in Diamonddale, 6506 Glenkirk Drive, Diamonddale, Michigan. And I come here tonight to speak against changing the zoning here in Eaton County. Other speakers tonight have been much more eloquent than I can be, so just put up with me here. Putting zoning in the hands of townships sounds good until townships go against the will of the people in those townships, and that can happen. I am worried about farmers selling their land to people who don't and will not be living within the township. China comes into here. We have around us more and more wind and solar farms replacing food production. And just think that if a hailstorm or tornado runs through that solar or wind farm, that farmland may be useless in the future due to possible contaminations within those solar panels and windmills. People living in country live there for a reason. They want privacy and solitude. They don't want factories. They want to be able to look out their windows and see corn, wheat, hay, soybeans, cows, white-tailed deer, and other wildlife. They don't want solar panels. See, I'm really worried about solar panels coming in. to any county. I drive through Calhoun County quite a bit, and there's solar panels all over the place down there. And they take away all of food production that they cover up. And I mean, they're on all kinds of property. In fact, my wife and I own 40 acres down there. It's been in our family since 1854. And there's solar field north of us, 60 acres of it, and then west of us, probably 40 to 60 acres. And there's no deer there. Well, very, very few. Used to get cameras all the time about deer and wildlife on that property. And they're all gone now because these came in. As you can tell, I'm thoroughly against solar and wind. We want to bring back power, bring back hydroelectric and nuclear. And then we, the citizens, have the cost involved through federal and state grants funded by, when these solar fields come in and these windmills come in, who pays for them? They're grants paid for by us. Personally, I do not have a problem with solar panels on the roof of a home. That's fine with me. If you want to put a solar panel on your house, go ahead. Fine with me. Any questions? Thank you.
Hello, my name is Ben Colstock. I'm with Arrowhead Homes. I live at 824 Oak Ridge Drive, Eaton Rapids. I also sit on the Home Builders Association Board of the HBA of Lansing, and I would definitely be opposed of rescinding this, the zoning ordinance for Eaton County. I think a big part of it comes in as cost. It's definitely going to cost the residents more money in the long run. Construction costs continue to go up, and if a builder or a remodeler has to continue to deal with multiple zoning ordinances throughout a particular county, it's just gonna only add time and money. You know, as you build outside of Eaton County, you get to experience what that exactly is like, and it's just only going to cause residents more time. And you know, if these individual townships, if somebody leaves or is on vacation or retires, then they have to replace those individuals. It's again just going to add more time to a project. So as a residential builder, I would definitely be opposed to this. Thank you.
Hi, Jack Owens, Vermontville Township Supervisor and actually former Planning Commission member. You know, actually, I'm listening and there's actually so many things to think about. It's actually even hard to know which subject to cover. But just as a quick example, just so that some of the people who don't know, the things that you guys handle, just this week, we have 4 conditional use permits and 2 of them are gravel pits. And when I think about planning and zoning of not having it anymore, who's gonna control a gravel pit? I mean, you can put up a $500,000 house in a nice hill and your next door neighbor can all of a sudden put in a gravel pit without any say from the neighbors or anything. And now that with zoning, there's different levels of zoning. So now you could have a $500,000 house, and then you could have some trash movie store go in next to you, also. So I don't understand, even though I understand the county commissioners are talking about they don't have enough money, but you're putting the whole county into chaos. Not only that, the members here, they have all the records. They know the people out in the county, that type of thing. And for us in the townships, not only are we gonna be left trying to find zoning our own, otherwise it goes into mass chaos. We can't even get enough people to run for the positions that we have, let alone try and find appeal board members and you know, all the different types of things like that. But in all of this, we are kind of left in a state of not sure what to do from an education standpoint. So maybe if Jim Mott could clarify a little bit more of where we are, because if you guys repeal this, it will never get put back on, right? Not in our lifetime, probably not in 50 years will zoning come back. So it seems to me, the townships, we're still trying to work and pay for zoning, but I'd like a little bit more clarification from Jim Mott, where that is and where we need to go forward, and also where you guys' positions are. What is your thing that you're gonna do going forward? So hope I'm not asking for too much, but thank you.
Thank you.
My name's Andy Shaver. I'm a longtime resident in Chester Township. My address is 2802 North Stein. I been in the building trades, home construction for the last 31 years, amongst a lot of other things that I do, but that's not why I'm here tonight. I do have a unique vantage point to this, is all I want to describe. District 1 specifically is what I want to speak about, the townships of Vermontville, Chester, Roxand, and Sunfield, namely because they haven't had any representation in the county this year. And so that being said, there's a lot of cuts to services that have happened, and I understand that's not the issue of your board. But what we need in this instance is not just representation, but leadership. We need some leadership because as I meet with the different township boards in their meetings, the thing that remains the same is that nobody really can get a clear answer of what's going on. And I understand part of that is because some of these things are still being decided. And so I give deference to that. However, there's so many services that have been cut over the last few months to these out-county residents that there's really not a lot of services left to these out-county constituents in the general law townships. Planning and zoning is something that's very important to maintaining the way of life that people there value, respect, and want to maintain. And so I think Eaton County Planning and Zoning has been great. I understand the trajectory of that's being changed because it's my understanding that there's no money in the current budget that we're under to fund planning and zoning. And I get that. I understand that. There's cuts that have to have been made. It's unfortunate that the large majority of all of those cuts have adversely affected people in the rural areas in the civil or general law townships as in comparison to the charter townships and the more urban areas. They still have a lot more resources than we do. What I want to ask for specifically is clear communication going forward for the townships to be able to know what they need to do. And I want to specifically ask, I know that Commissioner Mott talked about July. I think July's wonderful if we can afford that as a county. but we need at least 90 days in the first quarter of 2026 for these townships to be able to legally enact the things that they need to play catch-up to get where they need to be. In a pipe dream, do I think it's great to maintain these county services? Absolutely, but I know at the next meeting of the commissioners, they're gonna talk about how that's to be funded. So what I'm asking for is a common sense plan going forward that's not just representative of the needs, but also representative of the knowledge gap that there is in some of these rural areas to be able to do what they need to be able to do. Thank you for the way that you've served us in our county. I'm a fifth-generation resident here, and I'm very much value what you guys do. And I'm asking for help going forward, leadership with you guys together with the county commissioners so that our rural residents are represented in a way where their properties and their futures and their dreams are protected. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Don Chase, 7325 West Butterfield Highway, Bellevue, Michigan. I grew up in Vermontville. My folks come from Calamo, lived in Charlotte, worked 41 years at the OI glass factory. I was there when the bottle bill came through. Government shut it down. 800 people lost their jobs within 30 days. I'm not concerned about farmers selling their land because I can go both ways with that. Farmer works all his life. That might be his retirement. But on the other hand, I'd like to know what his grandfather's thinking in his grave, knowing that his son turned the soil over to some foreign interest. Doesn't bother me. There's nothing I can do about it. But what bothers me at the township level is a continuation of the rural communities being forced out of any decision-making policy. When I first started this, it was in the wind solar. Went to a meeting. All of a sudden, they said, well, you're interested in wind, let's put you on as trustee. Next thing I know, I was a trustee for about 10 years. That's when the zoning was done in Athens because Bellevue Township decided, I don't know why, to get out of the master plan. Within 30 days, when a new group of people come in, they didn't like the paperwork, so they voted to get back into the county. So I have been on the Zoning and Planning Commission. I do have some education. I'll tell you what, I do not have the standing or knowledge to be able to do that nowadays. But in my term that I've been there almost 16 years now, I've seen the vendor exemption go from where you actually had to come in and talk to the board to determine whether you should or shouldn't be. Now the state has turned that over to the assessor. We have no say-so. We used to be able to fudge the numbers a little bit on poverty exemption. When somebody was really ill, we could give them a break. The state took that away from us. Now it's the assessor. If they meet the qualifications, they get it. I have seen the gravel pits where we had some say-so. We're losing that. We're the smaller communities, townships are losing their say-so. And that is wrong. We're not like, we don't have a toxic dump we can get money from. We don't have a casino we can get money from. We don't have any representation from the state. Our current legislator lady hasn't even been to our township. This is on her second term. We're watching all the money going towards Charlotte for our fire department, all their equipment, $758,000 for turnout equipment for Charlotte. What did Bellevue and Oliva get? Less than $5,000. So we're seeing continuation from every area of the local government being downsized. And this is just a continuation of what's going on. We have some people right back here. I'm not sure where they're from, but Bellevue now is getting more diverse communities. We have a lot of more horse buggies coming in. We need that. We need that laws and interpretation about what we can do with our roads and everything else. But the main thing is about planning and zoning is, it is our first safety stop. When someone wants to do something, they gotta meet that criteria. Farmers will be the first one that, oh my gosh, I wanna be able to do something on my farm. And when they have to go in front of the zoning and planning, boy, they are not very happy. Because everybody wants to be able to do what you want to do on your property. So if this does get rescinded, I hope not too many churches will have an adult bookstore next door to them, because that, would be no say-so. You won't be able to regulate when semis come through town in the middle of the night. And right now, Bellevue averages 55 double tandem trailers going through Bellevue every day because of the gravel pits, because all the gravel, limestone goes out. All the paving companies go through Bellevue. We're not getting compensated for the road damage. You guys have got a hard job, and I pray for this man back here, Jim Mott, once a week, that his wife don't leave him because of all the meetings he has to go to and the sleepless night he has to have, because I don't know how he does it. But thank you. Thank you. Do a good job, I don't care what.
Mark Stahl, 1987 West Kinsel Highway, Carmel Township. I'm currently the alternate on the Board of Appeals. I've been affiliated with the Board of Appeals for the better part of, oh Lord, Brandy, I don't even know, 20 years? Claudine, can you help me out? 20 years, something like that? I don't remember. Came back recently. I spent about 15 years as the chair of that board. I understand that there's costs. Everybody's counting every single dollar now. I don't envy your guys' position. I don't envy Mr. Mott either. But I'm not on the Board of Appeals to get wealthy. I get a small stipend. To be honest, I'd do it at no cost. I'm passionate about this community. I've seen a lot of these people in the audience here that have spoken at Board of Appeals meetings for constituents in their townships. And I applaud you guys for that as well, in your public service. I don't have a magic bullet, but I do know that throwing the baby out with the bathwater and just pulling the plug and throwing the zoning ordinance out the window, that's not the solution either. Because as many people have alluded to, if we don't have any zoning ordinance in place, people are gonna roll in with big checkbooks. And they're gonna buy up large tracts of land. And that's my number one passion when I sit in these chairs as a Board of Appeals member, is I'm here to advocate for the land. Because the land doesn't have a voice, okay? I'm the voice of the land. So we have to make sure that we're doing the right growth in the right place. And I think everybody's familiar that there's been a lot of opposition to some of these mega sites. Case in point, down in Marshall, everybody's seen what's happened down there, and Goshen up north. So this doesn't feel like the right solution. I don't have an answer, but I just implore everybody to take a step back and reassess, and let's come up with a new game plan. And I'd do it at no cost. I would come to this meeting and I would do it for free, because that's how passionate I am about this community and the people in it, in our property and our land here. Thank you.
My name's Bobby Columbia. I live at 5886 Thornton Highway, Charlotte, Michigan, Carmel Township. I want to change the subject a little bit tonight, because I am trying to figure out how to get an illegal mud bog event stopped across the street from me in wetland ground. It's been classified as wetlands for years. And he goes out there with these big events and charges people buku money, and nothing comes back into the county for it. He charges like $20 per person, $50 per mud truck to run in the muck, and tears the ground up, pollutes the water, groundwater, and I'm at a loss for words. I've had to deal with Eagles. I've left messages with Eagle to call me back. Jeff Pierce, he has yet to call me back. I have no clue what's going on. And I know Brandy's been working her tail off for me on this whole ordeal. And I'd like to have this committee give her a little bit more ground to move forward on this subject of destroying wetlands and polluting the groundwater. I know she can give the guy a $500 ticket, but that's per events. Well, he's had 4 events this week, so that's 4 times 5. That's some pretty good revenue for Eaton County, if you ask me. And he makes all of that on one event. So I'm just at loss of words. I don't know what else to do other than keep reporting it to Brandy, and hopefully you people can give her a little bit more of a leadway on getting this thing shut down. I've lived out there since 1972, and the last 6 years have been nothing but pure H since he's had these events going on. And I'm getting tired of them. I can't even keep cattle on my property and raise beef cattle or anything, because when he has these events, man, it just stirs the pot so bad on him that I have to chase him down. Sometimes it takes me 2-3 days to locate him. And for some reason, Brandy can't get him to get stopped. I know she tried. I've called state police because Eagle has determined that is wetlands, and it is against the law for him to do what he's doing. He's supposed to be getting fined $10,000 a day for every day he's got a dozer on that property. And he's supposed to have to clean all that dirt that he has hauled in from, I have no clue where he got it at, but it's not black dirt, to make jumps and whatnot, and backfill that's another thing that's against the law, backfilling wetlands. I mean, he's bringing in all these wood chips from tree services and dumping them out there and spreading them with a dozer. He was out there again today with his dozer tearing it all up. So that's why I came to this meeting, to bring it to everybody's attention what he is doing. And if you guys don't want to get him stopped, then so be it. Thank you.
Okay. Try to have our comments on the stuff on the meeting tonight, which is about zoning.
Sorry, I was gonna cover both.
Okay.
First of all, my name is Greg McCrimmon. I got property at 3222 South Bradley. I had no clue what was going on with the zoning, right? I'm an over-the-road truck driver. I'm home 2 days a week. But I'll tell you what, I agree with most of these people. I know solar panels kill the ground. If you get a whole field full of solar panels, it takes up to, they say, over 100 years before that ground can get the nutrients back. I agree with most of these people. I'm glad for him. I'm just here behind him because my property is getting destroyed because of a mud bog system. But if you don't want to hear about that, I can come back another time.
It's just not on the agenda.
I didn't know we had to be on the agenda. I thought this was open mic. I apologize.
Anyone?
Good evening. Bob Starkweather, 279 West Nye Highway, Olivet, Michigan. I'm a trustee on the Walton Township Board. We've had a very good working relationship with the county on our issues. We hate to see it go away. We don't want to see it go away. The board would like to see a continuation of it for at least a year until everything can get sorted out. Because, you know, where are we going to find, if we have to go on our own, where are we going to find people with experience like these people? Where are we gonna find it? Like these other people have said, getting people on the board. You have a hard time getting people to be a board review person, low enough to do that job. And to replace somebody with 20, 30 years' experience, it ain't gonna happen. It ain't gonna happen. You might get lucky in one township, might get a couple good ones, but it ain't gonna happen anyplace else. So we need to keep it. And Walton Township wants it bad because we're right on the line of them solar panels and we don't want them. So all I can say is thanks to these guys, they've helped us out a lot in our past issues, and we hope to continue our good working relationship with them that we've had, and I guess that's all I got. Thank you.
David Hughes, Brookfield Township, 2503 Butterfield Highway. About a year ago, I contacted MDARD and was wanting to do a licensed kitchen in my barn for maple syrup. Called them, asked them, what do I need to do? What are the steps involved? How do I begin? They said, oh, we just need to send somebody out. We'll take a look at your facility and we'll go from there and show you requirements. They gave me their requirements. They gave me their license. I was off to the races. Everything was great. Until I wasn't. That's when I met Brandy. It was, to be honest, it started off pretty scary and ugly, but long story short, we could talk on this for a long time. We really could, but I was misinformed because of lack of communication, and I think that's what's going on here is lack of communication. These people over here are invaluable to us, the public. I could not have done what I've done without them, period. I guess it's hard to follow up with everybody else here, but I'm gonna come back at it with some questions, actually, and I'd like an answer if possible. Jim just said that some other townships are currently doing that. Was that by choice, or was that by necessity? How did that come to be, I guess? And that's why the reasoning we're going here, I guess.
It's really not a question and answer period. That's more questions for the Board of Commissioners than for us. It's just a public hearing to hear your thoughts and concerns. You're more than welcome to ask them. They'll go on the record, and hopefully, Jim said that those questions will be answered, but just not.
Okay, I just find that interesting, why some have already taken that position. I guess it's kind of a form of a question, but as a property owner, what would this do to property values with turnaround for times for permits for selling of property, for dividing of property? For that, in my opinion, if I'm not mistaken, would that not crash the whole system? Like, would that the local economics of this whole county, would that not just crash? No answers? Typical. Us, the people, have lost a lot of faith in this county. And there are some really good people here doing their jobs. And then there's some really inadequate people out there too. I'm gonna leave before I start saying other things. Thank you.
Thank you.
Scott Wilson, Supervisor for Eaton Rapids Township. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. I guess I'm going to ask that the Board of Commissioners really consider not repealing the ordinance, or at least to the level of a text amendment. The vast majority of the changes have been a text amendment on all the changes of the ordinances for the county for the years. So as it's been explained vaguely to me, that it's all the townships or none of them, a handful have opted out across the years. Some townships are still considering opting out, but I guess as a municipality and a representative of Eaton Rapids Township, is it something that a text amendment could change to simplify, to assist with the ones that do want to stay, so that it doesn't encompass all 11, 12, or however many it is? So and as a minimum, I'm gonna ask that it stay for at least 6 months, if not a year, whether it encompasses contracts, county funding, partial contract, with the municipalities, or however it has to work. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to speak? Okay, we'll close the public portion of the hearing and deliberate amongst the commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, mind if I start? Yeah, I appreciate all the comments. I think there's a common misunderstanding of how, we can interact with folks when they make public comment. We're constrained in a lot of ways by the Open Meetings Act. But, yeah, I guess, I think the theme of communication for me has come out over and over again tonight. I guess I feel a little bit in the same boat, right? I don't fully understand the rationale, why this can't be a text amendment. We've had townships pull out in the past. I guess that's not clear to me. So, I don't know. I assume we're going to make a recommendation. I mean, this is obviously a decision that falls on the county commissioners, their legislative body. So this is a recommendation from us. We're not county commissioners, with the exception of Commissioner Hanson, but, and sorry, Commissioner Frank as well. But the point being that, I think we're here, and what we've all done, we've worked on this ordinance for, a lot of us, 10, 15 years. So we've looked at this from the standpoint of citizens engaged in land use and planning. And so I think that, when it comes time for me to vote, that's going to be the recommendation I make is going to be based on, not on budget issue, because I think that's the purview of the commissioners themselves, but, from the basis of what is best for the county in terms of land use, I think is how I'm going to view this.
Anyone else like to speak?
I just want to highlight the overwhelming majority of people here, by my count, 12-2 in favor of keeping the zoning. I was keeping notes on that. That's what I heard. That's what I wrote down. That's what I've got. Overwhelming majority of the public.
I guess one of the biggest things I'm hearing too from the comments is all the unforeseen consequences. What happens to the entire county if we pull the plug on this sooner rather than later, without giving at least some time for the townships to accommodate not having the county doing zoning for us, planning and zoning? It's going to be chaos. It's going to end up, even if all the townships do find their way to having master plans and ordinances and all of that, and their own planning commissions, it's going to be a patchwork, and it's going to be chaos one way or the other, I think, for everybody who has to do planning and zoning work in Eaton County.
Mr. Chairman, I strongly agree with Ben's comments.
I support keeping wetlands. I support keeping the farmland, especially prime farmlands, and protecting those. So I recognize the county's got budget issues. I don't think that that means that they should abandon proper planning. So I'm going to vote with the land, the farmers, the farm community, wetlands, soils. I'm going to vote with those things in mind, and let the County Board of Commissioners take care of the finances.
Sure, Frank.
Yeah, I was sitting through a lot of the budget talks, line by line, except the exception is things that are mandated, that has to be by law, you know, whatever. This does not fall in that category. And totally, I get every single comment, and I'd be that, except where's the funding? It's somewhere else. You have to take it from one to put in another. You only have a certain amount. And that's what we were up against. There's, I don't know, there was comments that what supporting cutting a certain line item would be immoral, one of the discussions during the commissioners. So it's not an easy thing, and I don't know where this will really land. But obviously you see the unintended consequences of not having the finances to cover this, you know, and several other things, obviously, in the budget. So it is a difficult, excuse me, a difficult choices to be made, and I don't really have a best answer myself.
Anyone else?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I agree with Frank. Frank and I are both on the Board of Commissions and Commissioners. And yes, there's a lot of laws and regulations that we have to use in our planning and zoning of areas and everything. And to probably throw all of those out is a detriment to the county and puts more responsibility on each township. And with the way it's set up, that they would have to have a master plan and a lot of other things, it's going to put a lot more pressure on them to take and do that. We were planning on hoping that these other 11 or 12 townships and districts would be able to fund planning and zoning, but some of them, you know, have opted out, and some are, you know, wanting to do other things that makes that impossible too. But hopefully we can come to an agreement on the situation because I know we don't want solar farms and wind energy in our communities, and yet the governor and her board can override that situation too. So somehow we're losing our what we can do in our communities to take and prohibit that to happen. So it's not just a county issue of some of these things, it's a state issue that causes these problems that we're facing. And of course, with Eaton County, with our financial thing, we were trying to get a budget that we could live with, and it meant the loss of different things in the county to do that. And this is just another issue that we've still got to work out, and hopefully by our next board meeting, the commissioners will be up to full force, so those people living in those 4 townships will have representation on the board to make a better decision on what's taking place. Thank you.
Clarification here. It's a public hearing, but we need to make a recommendation to the Board of Commissioners, correct?
Yes.
So we do that in a form of a motion, whether we want to send this to them with our recommendation to do this or to not make that recommendation.
The recommendation will be in the form of a motion.
Thank you. Frank?
This is for Brandy. Do I understand it would still go to the board with recommendation, recommendation or not a recommendation, but still go to the full board for discussion and,
It'll go before Public Works and Human Services prior to going to the full board, because that's the committee of the Board of Commissioners that we report to.
okay, yeah, thank you.
So it'd be forward there. It's just a recommendation, but we've had the public hearing here, so they can do what they want, although we've made a recommendation, one way or the other.
I'll make a motion that we recommend to the Board of Commissioners that they not repeal the Eaton County Land Development Code.
Support. Motion and support. Any further discussion on this? Sure, Scott.
As commissioners, since we're sitting in 2 different positions here for that, should we sustain from voting on this since we're going to be discussing it at a Board of Commissioners meeting?
As a Board of Commissioners member appointed to the Planning Commission, you can vote.
Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion?
I also heard a lot of people recommend having a timetable in there. So if it does get repealed, it's 6 months, it's a year. Should that be part of a recommendation as well, that should that decision be made, we recommend at least a year to get township staffed and up to speed and understanding what they would have to do? Or is that a secondary motion?
I guess to me it would be, just because it sort of gives our consent to repealing the ordinance, which, you know, I appreciate the position that Commissioner Hanson just articulated, but, you know, I think it's, frankly, I think it's a little bit, you know, short-sighted because we are going to lose the power to negotiate with things that happen in our community, and it's going to increase costs for all these townships. And so, you know, is this a good policy move? I don't think it is, and so I think that's our recommendation, right? And so, you know, if they, maybe we let them determine how long the finances can dictate this continuing.
Seems reasonable.
I would rather with force just say what we flat don't recommend doing away with it. It's gonna cause all kind of trouble, all kind of chaos, and let the recommendation stand.
Withdrawn.
Any further comments? Sure, Frank?
I guess, you know, in the whole discussion, you know, we'd all be in favor of keeping it, but I haven't heard where, I mean, the townships here, they don't have any source of revenue they can see to pay for this. In the position the county's in, I haven't seen where that's gonna come from to the county to cover this, if it stays at the county level. That's the tough one.
Just in response to that, I've had the opportunity to talk to a lot of the supervisors, and there's been a lot of, most of them have gotten a lot of confusion coming out of the county, whether what amount it is, you know, when it would start. And there's not been, from my understanding, there's not been a lot of communication. I would hope that that could be, I would hope that could be rectified, and I think that we certainly could get several townships on board for us to do it, at least for the short term. I think we heard that from a lot of the township supervisors tonight, and that's frankly what I heard when I talked to the ones that I could get a hold of before here.
I will say, from the township perspective, I think there are a lot of us who will make every attempt to find the money in our budgets and, you know, cut other places if we have to in order to have this happen at the county level. Because otherwise it's gonna cost us even more. We're still gonna have to find money in the budget or go Wild West out there, and have no planning and zoning at all in our townships. That's the choice that we're up against, and I think most of us will find money to make something happen, and going with something organized by a group of us with the county's help, or, you know, at least direction, would end up being a more cost-effective process. So,
Oh, sorry, Scott?
Could you clarify the motion again, please?
We recommend that the Planning Commission recommend to the Board of Commissioners that we not repeal the Eaton County Land Development Code.
Thank you. Could we amend that then to give us like a 6-month to a 9-month waiting period to analyze this more for the townships?
Like I said, Scott, I think that we would be happy to talk, about land use and, honestly, the responsibility that the board's been charged with at any time, right? So if there's other, solutions that are out there, we can obviously talk about them again. I don't know. I guess that's my stance. Like we just discussed a minute ago, I don't think our recommendation is to repeal the ordinance, so I don't know that really specifying a time frame in which that's a good idea really makes a lot of sense.
I'm just a little bit concerned too. I think there's enough Board of Commissioners here that know how we feel and how the townships feel. That's more in the political realm and financial realm, where I think we're just doing the zoning. And so I think for us to put timeframes on it or try to do anything more than that is not really in our wheelhouse. And I know that Scott and Frank have to look at it. They look at it both ways. So I understand where they're coming from, where it's probably hard for them to change their hats, between times. So.
And that's what I say all the time, is most people don't come to every meeting, right? But we talk about this. Our only purview here is to implement this land development code and to look at what's good for the planning of the county, right, from a land use perspective. And so I think that's still the charge here today. So, I mean, I get that there's all these other constraints and all these other things that you have to consider, and absolutely respect that. I just, from a land use perspective, this is a bad idea, and that's why I'm going to vote in favor of recommending that we not repeal the code.
Personally, I do support not rescinding this as a Board of Zoning or Planning here, because they need it. But my only comments is looking down the road, beyond this group here. For this group, I say yes, we should recommend that it's not rescinded. Once it gets to how are you going to pay for it, I get to think about it some more.
Right.
So.
And that's why I say that's your other hat that you're wearing. Right, and if there are not any other comments, if we could please have a roll call vote.
Scott Hansen,
Yes.
Ben Terrell,
Yes.
Lisa Lewitsky,
Yes.
Ed Kemp,
Yes.
Tim Catron,
Yes.
Zachary Dillinger,
Yes.
Frank Holmes,
Yes.
Ryan Ross.
Yes. So the committee of the Board of Commissioners, public, what is it now? Public.
Public
Ways and
Works and Human Services will receive the recommendation from the Planning Commission this evening, and that will be passed on to the full Board of Commissioners at their November meeting.
Thank you. Okay, any public comments? Okay, seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
So moved.
Support.
All in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, the same?